I'm Sydney from PhoneDog.com. Now, if you have visited our website, which hopefully you have at PhoneDog.com, you know that on our main page we have top 3 lists. We have the top 3 smartphones from each major US carrier, and we have the top 3 messaging phones from each major US carrier. And right now, on the top 3 messaging phones lists are these two devices, the Sanyo Innuendo from Sprint and the Samsung Reality from Verizon. Both great messaging phones. Now you may be trying to decide which one you should get, or maybe you're trying to decide if you should switch to Verizon to get the Reality, or if you should switch to Sprint to get the Innuendo. Well, this video will help you to decide that. It's going to be a dogfight, so we're going to put both of these phones head to head and see which one performs the best. So let's get right to it. It's the Sanyo Innuendo from Sprint and the Samsung Reality from Verizon. I'm Sydney from PhoneDog.com. Let's go check it out. Okay, so here we go with two popular messaging phones. On the right side you have the Samsung Reality from Verizon, and on the left side is the Sanyo Innuendo from Sprint. And first of all, to begin with, I apologize for my reflection probably being in a lot of this video. Both of these devices have very reflective screens. Of course, the upside is that you can use it as a mirror if you need to. Hey! Anyway, so first of all, it's just basically hardware. They are pretty much the same size, and in terms of, direct numbers and weight, the Reality is a little bit heavier, 3.8 ounces versus 4.1 ounces, so just slightly heavier, but really in terms of size, they're both exactly the same pretty much. The Reality, to me, looked a little bit thicker, but they are pretty much the same size, same thickness, and so pretty much the same in that way. Now when it comes to overall physical design, you can tell they are very different, because the Reality has on the front a 3-inch resistive touchscreen display, whereas the Innuendo's front display is just this touch-sensitive dialing pad. And so it does have a display, but it's just a 1.3-inch monochrome OLED display, and then when you open it up, you do have your color display there. So just, a little bit different design. Some people, the Reality may be more appealing, its design may be more appealing. You may not like the fact that this isn't a touchscreen, or maybe the front panel may just be a little too plain for some people. But they do have, beautiful displays once you get to the main display on the Innuendo. Now the Reality, like I said, has a 3-inch display, whereas the Innuendo, this display is only 2.8 inches, so just slightly smaller, and then again, not a touchscreen, same resolution, 240 by 400, but I did notice, and it could just be me, but the screen on the Innuendo, the display, just seems to be brighter. It seems to show colors just much better and clearer. I do have the brightness up all the way on the Reality, but still, just the Innuendo seems to look better. But they do have the same resolution. Now when you get to the user interface, the Innuendo uses Sprint's one-click interface, and so you can see you have this carousel of tiles at the bottom that you can customize. So you can have, I believe, up to 15 tiles in this carousel. You have over 40 options to choose from, and then once you're in the home tile here, if you push the OK button, it takes you to the main menu. So you have different options here for weather, sports, email, news, just different things like that. And so, a nice way of bringing it all together where you want it. The Reality is similar because it uses Samsung's TouchWiz interface. And so you can see you have widgets on the main screen, and you have 3 home screens to choose from. You can change the wallpaper. I just have it the same for each screen. And then you have your widget drawer, where you can choose from several different widgets and then bring them out to whichever main screen or whichever screen you'd like to have it on. So, same idea, same concept, just carried out a little differently. Samsung has widgets, whereas with the one click it just keeps it all on this carousel. So just a little bit different, and actually I really enjoy using both. They're both, it's convenient, brings it all where you want it on the home screen. And overall, just fun to use. Now, getting onto the keyboard, because they are obviously both messaging phones, you can see the keyboards are very different, because the Reality is spread across, the entire length of the part that opens up to show the keyboard, whereas on the Innuendo, because it's not a touchscreen, you have this D-pad here, so the keyboard is, offset slightly to the left. And so different design there, also different design with the keys. You can see on the Innuendo you have much more separation. The keys are shaped differently, they're domed a little bit more. Whereas on the Reality, they're definitely flatter, that's for sure. Not as much separation, different shape. One other main thing that I point out, that most of us point out in every time we look at a keyboard, is the Reality does have the spacebar in between the V and the B. That can take some time to get used to. After using both of these keyboards, I found that they both have good sides and they both have a bad side. For the Reality, probably the con would be that the spacebar, being in between the V and the B, it's going to take some time to get used to that setup. However, compared to the Innuendo, where its keyboard is offset to the left a little bit, it is a little more comfortable to type on. However, the Innuendo has going for it that, the way that the keys are designed is just, easier to type on because of the action that you get on the keys. So, both keyboards have pros and cons. Now, if you turn over both devices, they do both have cameras, excuse me. 3.2 megapixel camera on both devices. You can see the Reality has a self-portrait mirror, so kind of a little advantage there. But they do also capture video. It's VGA quality video, so 640 by 480, so not the best. But in terms of the camera, I found them to perform, just about the same. Being a 3 megapixel camera, definitely I was pleased with each picture. Neither one, really stood out because they don't have autofocus, and neither one have a flash. And so both have digital zoom, but without an autofocus and flash, picture quality was pretty much the same. But it is nice, just between these two that they both have 3 megapixel cameras. Now, going back to the back of each device, battery is very different, and so I'll take off the battery cover. I always say covery instead of cover. Throws me off every time. I don't know if it throws you guys off. So if we take this off, you can see the battery. The Reality has a 1080 milliamp hour battery, and the Innuendo has a 860 milliamp hour battery. So a big difference there. And obviously the Reality has a better battery, and battery life was better on the Reality. I got about 5 to 6 days just on standby with the phone, not really doing a lot. But battery life on the Innuendo wasn't bad, even though it was not as good as the Reality. I still got 2 to 3 days of use, which I think is good enough considering on a lot of smartphones or other phones you only get about a day of use. Now, one more thing, while we have the battery covers off, the Innuendo does ship with a 1 gig micro SD card. It's underneath the battery here. So it does ship with a 1 gig card, whereas the Reality doesn't. The Innuendo supports up to 32 gigs, and the Reality supports up to 16 gigs. So in terms of memory, the Innuendo is definitely better. Also, it's nice just the fact that it comes with a micro SD card already. Even though it's only 1 gig, it's nice that they do include that. So Innuendo definitely has that going for it. However, the Reality has a 3.5 millimeter headphone jack, whereas the Innuendo only has a 2.5 millimeter headphone jack. So a little disappointing there, but it's not too hard to find 2.5 millimeter headphone set, but it is nicer that you do have 3.5 on the Reality. Now, in terms of price, they're both exactly the same. The Reality right now is $49.99 from Verizon. The Innuendo is $49.99 from Sprint. And so, it's about equal, and I think that's a good deal for both of these phones. Now, the Reality does come in 2 colors, Piano Black and City Red, and the Innuendo only comes in 1 color at the moment. I don't know anything about future plans, but it would be nice if it did eventually come out in a couple more colors, considering how predominant, the front panel is, depending on which color you have. So that is pretty much it, guys. And really picking a winner, it's really up to your personal opinion, because these phones, they are great phones on their own. Obviously, being on our top 3 list already at the moment, they are great phones. And really, they're so different that it is up to personal opinion. You may like the fact that it has this front panel. Me personally, I think it looks pretty cool. And then opening it up, the one-click interface is very, very useful. But you may prefer having the touchscreen, and then the keyboard may be more appealing to you. So really, it's up to personal opinion. One more note while I'm back in the menu: they do both have data capabilities in terms of web browsing, having email pulled to the phone. I will say that web browsing on both phones is not very enjoyable. It's almost impossible to do, which was a downside that I picked for both of these phones whenever I was doing the review on them. Web browsing is just, even compared to other messaging phones, the web browsing was very uncomfortable, to say the least. But anyway, that's pretty much it, guys. Decide for yourself which one is the winner. Both on great networks. That's really, speeds and call quality is really going to depend on network coverage in your area. But go check them out. Samsung Reality from Verizon, Sanyo Innuendo from Sprint. And I will see you guys later. Thanks so much, guys, for watching. Be sure and check out PhoneDog.com for more news, updates, and reviews. Also, our Facebook page, facebook.com/PhoneDog. If you have any questions, you can follow me on Twitter and send me a message. My screen name is It's My Job to Know. Again, thanks, guys, for watching. I'll see you guys later.